December 28, 2023, News Report 1. Exclusive from Reuters, the State Administration of Radio, Film, and Television of China has demanded that the Taiwanese band Mayday publicly declare its support for Taiwan as a part of China and join in China's media promotion towards Taiwan. During interactions with fans, the band is required to accept interviews or explicitly state its political stance when interviewed. Mayday has hundreds of thousands of fans in Taiwan, and China believes that the band openly supporting China might influence the voting intentions of young people in Taiwan. To compel Mayday to comply, the Chinese government sent individuals to defame them on social media, accusing the band of lip-syncing during their November concert in Shanghai. China's Ministry of Public Security subsequently launched an unprecedented cross-departmental investigation, involving People's Daily, China's Central Television, and Xinhua News Agency. An article published by the Prosecutors Daily, hosted by the Supreme People's Procuratorate, stated that lip-syncing is a fraudulent act and should be legally sanctioned. Insiders suggest that the Chinese government is using fines to pressure Mayday into cooperation, warning of consequences if they do not comply. However, according to Reuters, Mayday has not agreed to China's demands, showcasing their resilience. Mayday's management company has been consistently clarifying that the band did not lip-sync during their November tour in China. This report has sparked significant reactions in Taiwan, with presidential candidate Lai Ching-te of the Democratic Progressive Party stating that China should not bully musicians, as such behavior is inconsistent with the conduct of civilized nations and will only widen the gap between China and the civilized world. Lai emphasized that safeguarding Taiwan's democracy and freedom is the crucial mission and shared responsibility of all Taiwanese people. Representatives from other political parties have also expressed strong resentment towards China's interference in Taiwan's elections, criticizing its despicable actions and calling for the preservation of Taiwan's independence and freedom. News Report 2. On the evening of December 28, the three presidential candidates in Taiwan held their final televised presidential policy presentation. In this presentation, Lai Ching-te of the Democratic Progressive Party continued to fiercely criticize the Kuomintang candidate, Ho Yue. Lai stated that he is the only one among the three candidates who has not invested in businesses or speculated in real estate, and he is also the only one not relying on the One China principle, the 1992 consensus, and advocating for cross-strait kinship. He warned that if the Kuomintang or the People First Party were to secure a majority in the Legislative Yuan, Taiwan might move towards closer ties with China. Lai further pointed out that Ko Wen-je has never condemned China for taking away Taiwan's diplomatic allies. Ko Wen-je believes that the core issue lies in Taiwan's relationship with China and advocates for changing the previous financial diplomacy, steering Taiwan towards the future. The three presidential candidates will participate in a televised debate on December 30, where they will face questions from each other and media representatives. Additionally, a video circulating on Twitter shows Lai Ching-te strongly criticizing the Kuomintang during a policy presentation on December 26, stating that it has brought three major disasters to Taiwan: first, clinging to a Chinese deity, leading to national identity divisions; second, maintaining the corrupt black-gold system, including placing criminals on the party list. This speech was delivered with great force, emphasizing harsh criticism of the Kuomintang. On the other hand, Deutsche Welle reported that the voting intentions of Taiwanese businesspeople in China are very high this year, with 80% of Taiwanese businesses in the Yangtze River Delta planning to return to Taiwan to vote. However, on December 28, the Deputy Secretary-General of the Mainland Affairs Council, Kai Meng-jun, clarified that as of early January, the booking rate for cross-strait flights was only 20%, contradicting previous reports. The stance of Deutsche Welle's report has been questioned. News Report 3. Zhang Ziegel, the former president of Asia News Division, published another analytical investigative article on December 28. He mentioned that when President Xi Jinping visited Russia in March of this year, Russian President Vladimir Putin told Xi Jinping that the Ukraine war would last at least 5 years. This indicates that Russia is facing difficulties on the Ukraine battlefield and also needs to ensure China's continued support. Putin emphasized that the friendship between China and Russia has no upper limit and will not change. However, China Strategy Corporation believes that China does not completely believe the statement that the Ukraine war will last for 5 years. In the complex international political situation, regardless of the outcome of the Ukraine war, China needs to consider how to protect its own interests. Therefore, Putin's words not only affect Sino-Russian relations but also impact China's relations with Europe and the United States. At the same time, it has implications for Xi Jinping's ambitions and plans for his third term, including the so-called plan for reunification with Taiwan. After Xi Jinping's visit to Russia, he began to readjust his foreign strategy, sending Special Envoy Li Hui to Europe in May, with the last stop being Ukraine. In June, an investigation was carried out on Qin Gang. These changes indicate a subtle shift in Xi Jinping's pro-Russian stance, echoing his frequent mention of the unprecedented great changes in a century. Meanwhile, Ukraine has strengthened its weapons production, and the Minister of Strategic Industries, Kamensky, stated that next year Ukraine will have the ability to produce a large number of drones, including 1 million ordinary drones, more than 10,000 medium-range attack drones, and more than 1,000 jet drones with a range exceeding 1,000 kilometers. News Report 4. Bloomberg reports that Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, and UBS predict that the Chinese real estate market will remain sluggish next year. These institutions believe that the Chinese economy is closely tied to real estate, and a downturn in real estate will lead to a weakened performance of the Chinese economy. Goldman Sachs predicts a double-digit decline in Chinese real estate investment next year, while Morgan Stanley forecasts a similar double-digit decline. UBS and CICC also predict declines of 5% and 7%, respectively. Bloomberg notes that real estate demand accounts for 20% of China's GDP, a decrease of 4 percentage points compared to 2018. A contraction in real estate scale will result in weak domestic demand, exerting downward pressure on prices and potentially triggering deflation. Additionally, CNN reports that China experienced a challenging year in 2023, and 2024 might be even worse. Economists believe that China may face decades of economic stagnation. Shi Jiandao, a senior researcher at the American Enterprise Institute, suggests that China's economic growth in 2024 might be as low as 4.5%. He points out that the challenges facing the Chinese economy in 2024 go beyond GDP growth. It's a sustained decline in the Chinese economy. With real estate in trouble and China's population shrinking, the International Monetary Fund predicts that by 2028, China's economic growth may fall to 3.5% due to aging demographics and weakened productivity. He believes that the Chinese economy has entered a severe recession, and growth next year is unlikely, with stagnation being certain. News Report 5. Chinese Ministry of National Defense spokesperson Wu Qian revealed in a routine press conference that PLA Chief of the General Staff Liu Zhengli had a constructive video call with Chairman of the U.S. Joint Chiefs of Staff General Brown on December 21. Both sides had frank and in-depth exchanges on issues of mutual concern. Wu expressed the hope that China and the U.S. can promote the healthy and stable development of military relations on the basis of equality and respect. President Xi Jinping and U.S. President Biden met on November 15 in San Francisco, agreeing to restore high-level communication between the two militaries. However, it took a month and a half to realize the high-level military talks, raising questions. Some analysts suggest that this delay may be related to internal differences in China, requiring time to form a consensus before making a public statement. Wu Qian indicated that the Ministry of National Defense might make a statement during the routine press conference on December 28, possibly because routine press conferences are held monthly, and the 21st was not a scheduled time for a press conference. Therefore, the statement was scheduled for a subsequent routine press conference. Analysts believe that this scheduling might be related to some internal disagreements in China, requiring time to reach consensus before making a public statement to avoid internal mistakes. In the current Chinese political environment, avoiding misjudgments appears particularly important. News Report 6. The New York Times reports that China's Ministry of State Security is using an artificial intelligence system to track U.S. diplomats, reflecting direct competition between China's Ministry of State Security and the U.S. CIA. The report quotes opinions from over 20 current and former U.S. officials, along with reviewing internal documents from Chinese companies and public documents from the Ministry of State Security. In the past, China's Ministry of State Security primarily collected information through embassy dinners and similar events. However, during the COVID-19 pandemic, Chinese intelligence officers began using AI systems. When Chinese intelligence officers are interested in specific individuals in a certain embassy area, their AI system can instantly generate the person's profile, determining the target's contact network and vulnerabilities by analyzing behavior patterns. The report also notes that in recent years, China's Ministry of State Security has actively recruited spies, including U.S. citizens, offering better training and higher rewards. These actions demonstrate the ambitions of China's Ministry of State Security to achieve the goals set by President Xi Jinping. Furthermore, on December 28, the exchange rate of the Chinese yuan against the U.S. dollar strengthened, reaching a two-week high. With the continuous decline of the U.S. dollar, the yuan-to-dollar exchange rate rose to 7.1055, an increase of 382 points. The offshore yuan exchange rate continued to break through the 7.13, 7.12, and 7.11 thresholds, reaching a peak of 7.0974. The report suggests that one reason for the rise in the yuan exchange rate is the continuous decline of the U.S. dollar index, which fell below the 101 mark on December 27 for the first time in 5 months. The People's Bank of China quickly raised the yuan exchange rate when the U.S. dollar index fell, possibly to leave more room for future operations. News Report 7. According to Twitter messages, significant protests occurred in Ningling County, Shangqiu City, Hunan Province, on December 27 and 28. Tens of thousands of people demanded the government publicly disclose the truth behind the death of a 14-year-old student. Similar incidents have recently occurred involving unexplained deaths of some middle school students, prompting their families to seek accountability. The deceased in this case, named Zhang, was a second-year student at Yuhua Garden High School in Ningling County. He died on December 24 inside the school's teaching building. The family claims that the school notified parents on the morning of December 24 at 6 a.m., saying that something had happened to the child. However, the family did not see the body until after 3 p.m. on the same day. The family discovered that the child's hands had numerous holes drilled with a screwdriver, and his ankle was twisted. There are reports that he was assaulted at the school 2 months ago and was killed on the night of December 23. The family suspects that the school intentionally delayed notifying them to cover up the truth. They demanded the school provide surveillance videos and relevant evidence, but the school refused. On the morning of December 27, Zhang's parents accused the school in front of Yuhua Garden High School, and a large number of residents gathered, offering flowers in support. On the same day, the Ningling County government released a preliminary investigation stating that Zhang had committed suicide by jumping off a building, ruling out any criminal involvement. However, local residents questioned the investigation results, demanding the government disclose the truth, leading to clashes. On the following day, December 28, nearly 10,000 people took to the streets again, gathering at the entrance of Yuhua Garden High School, demanding the government reveal the truth. The police attempted to disperse the crowd, resulting in clashes. The protesters marched to the county government, surrounding leaders' cars, and demanded leaders come out to explain. News Report 8. Xinhua News Agency reports that the Central Foreign Affairs Work Conference was held on December 28 in Beijing. The meeting had high-level participants, with Xi Jinping delivering a speech, Premier Li Keqiang presiding, and all members of the Politburo attending. Party and state leaders, including Foreign Minister Wang Yi and State Council Vice Premier Han Zhang, were present throughout, highlighting the high importance the CCP places on foreign affairs work. At the meeting, Wang Yi summarized the achievements of foreign affairs work, and representatives delivered speeches. The conference emphasized that since the 18th National Congress of the party, China has made significant achievements in foreign exchanges. Xi Jinping's diplomatic thoughts have become the guiding ideology for foreign affairs work. The meeting stressed the need for foreign affairs work to align with the Chinese-style modernization and strengthen the party's leadership. The report mentions that representatives from the Central Propaganda Department, International Liaison Department, Ministry of Commerce, Central Military Commission, Yunnan Province, and the UN delegation all made statements. While the specific contents of the news release were not disclosed, it is evident that two important messages were conveyed. First, China highly values current foreign affairs work, as evidenced by the full attendance of party and state leaders. Second, the meeting conveyed a message about the uneasy external situation, with China mobilizing more resources to cope with the external environment. News Report 9. Israeli Defense Minister Gantz informed members of the Israeli Knesset on December 26 that Israel is under attack in 7 different theaters simultaneously. These 7 theaters include Gaza, Lebanon, Syria, the Vietnam War and the West Bank, Iraq, Yemen, and Iran. As of now, Israel has taken action and responded in 6 of these theaters. Gantz's remarks suggest that military operations may have expanded across the entire Middle East region. Since the outbreak of the Israel-Hamas conflict, Iran-backed armed groups have frequently attacked Israel. Hezbollah in Lebanon launches daily attacks on Israel along the border, and Houthi forces in Yemen fire long-range missiles and attack drones at Israeli and Red Sea ships. Last week, the Iraqi armed group Kataib Hezbollah fired drones at the southern Israeli city of Eilat. This development has raised concerns that the Israel-Hamas conflict might evolve into a broader Middle East war. Additionally, on December 27, French President Macron called Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu, urging Israel to cease fire. Netanyahu thanked France for participating in maintaining freedom of navigation in the Red Sea and for assisting in restoring security along the Israeli-Lebanese border. News Report 10, Michigan Supreme Court rejects Trump's appeal. On December 27, the Michigan Supreme Court rejected the appeal of former President Trump, allowing him to participate in the Republican primary in Michigan. This decision contrasts with a recent ruling by the Colorado Supreme Court. The Colorado Supreme Court ruled on December 20 that Trump was responsible for the events of the January 6 Capitol riot, making him ineligible to participate in the Colorado presidential primary. However, in Michigan, voters raised similar lawsuits, but the Michigan Supreme Court deemed it not a legal matter and rejected the appeal of the 4 voters without holding a trial. News Report 11, China Merchants Bank Bonus Retrieval. China Merchants Bank Supervisory Board passed a performance compensation retrieval proposal unanimously on December 26. This proposal allows China Merchants Bank to retrieve the year-end bonuses from its employees. According to China Merchants Bank's 2022 financial report, they have retrieved year-end bonuses from 2,876 employees, totaling 58.24 million yuan, averaging 20,300 yuan per person. China Merchants Bank did not disclose the specific reasons for retrieving employee year-end bonuses.